Welcome back to another video, guys. I'm going to talk about this 4-hour PO3 reversal that I took, and I really haven't been posting too much because I've been really wanting to refine my model and change it up on how I enter. I really want to enter in this candle. I want to get that sub 20 point stop, which can allow me to increase my size, and having high size and getting those positions really changes up your psychology for your trading. It's more of a challenge to trade those kind of models, those high win rate, higher risk reward. Sorry, higher risk reward. Like we're talking 7+ on a usual trade, and then just more difficult to hold because we're getting in and you have to analyze really clearly on the 15-second chart with multiple confluences aligned. But today was a pretty clean day. We had a lot of confluences aligned. Mainly our three-stage SSMT is what I took our trade base off of. And for take profits, we have our highest time frame gap of the range, which is this 4 hour. We don't need to look at the other indices. What I am going to mention is we did have the yeah, we can pull them all up. I've been using all three at once just because it's been helping me more see things on the chart, but I didn't set up my OBS to be able to track it. So let's just start here. We have a 4 hour gap. Why I wanted to trade into this as a retrace was because we had a 4 hour swing divergence with YM for one. So our range is sealed. We're retrading back into the range. 4 hour swing divergence. See how we're rejecting from this? And it's the second half of our 4 hour PO3. It's because we were going to trade inside this, and the next one we're gonna move up higher because that's our distribution. It's just a late day distribution. XAMD is a late day distribution, and today we had all manipulation aligned for lower. And so we got that distribution effect in manipulation because it was our manipulation to this range. So 4 hour gap right there. And you see my exit wasn't really all that pretty. I didn't like it whatsoever. We can go down to the 5 and 15 in a second, but this is my exit. The reason why I exited here was because we tapped lowest, or basically our discount sell side, most recent discount sell side. And I thought that this 4 hours was going to be pretty sensitive. I mean, we don't need to go to 12 a.m. We did in this one Trump candle at 10:30, but really we didn't need to go there. So I ended up taking it to there. My entry wasn't all that great. I was a little late to the charts. I charted and then I was eating and I got on the charts around 40, like 9:42, 9:43. So when this was longing, or when we were going up to meet these highs, I was in one contract, and this is honestly such a bad trade. I probably lost like $100 there on one contract just because I decided to get in the trade on the 15-second and just see if I can get into profit just off of structure, which was stupid. I was like, you know what, this is setting up well. I'm actually gonna trade this. I actually want to see what happens here. We swept the microcycle, and literally after the exit, we swept the micro inversion for value gap. I'm like, okay, you know what? Went down to the 15-second, and then this gap right here. This gap, this is a real entry. This is really why I entered. This gap on the 15-second, this inversion gap, even though we had this 1 minute here, after this inversed and we touched this, I entered immediately. Still wasn't that great of like an initial stop loss. It was 30 points, like still 30 points. But then I pyramided once this dropped significantly off that 1 minute BPR tap. That 1 minute BPR was so significant that I would have entered 10 contracts just on a limit right there to there with the 20 point stop. Not 10 contracts, probably 8 if I'm doing 20 point stop, but like that would be the 20 point stop that I'd like to get to. In this market, I think it would be pretty hard with high volatility to get like a 15 point stop. I mean, you could, but this is difficult. Very difficult. It's more you're entering in where price is going to reverse. You're not waiting for a 15-second CISD. You're not waiting for a 5 second anything. You're just entering, assuming it's going to go down from there, which you would be right. I used the 15-second because I wanted to see the lower time frame switch in a CISD and not just wait for it to CISD down here because this one candle isn't enough. So 15-second CISD was enough for me to enter in off of. That would happen right there, and then the tap into that gap is really all we need to do to dump. And I told you why the 1 minute was so significant. Another thing that I do, octants of the 30-minute PO3. Even though our 30-minute PO3 technically ended right here, our high and low 30-minute PO3 will always be useful for entering in at these price levels. You see our gap, our BPR gap, high of the day, where you wanted to enter. our octant, or actually this is our quadrant, but our octant really, like, you would get in, if you expect us to reverse, you would get in there. And that's the trade that my mentor took. That is the ideal trade to take. But that was the first octant level after we swept. So you had to anticipate we're going to drop all the way after that. I got in on the second octant level. The third one, also valid. The fourth one, which is CE, is when we just dumped. And that makes sense, right? CE, we just place, 10 a.m. opens, and we're just kind of chopping around. So what I used for 10 a.m. was the true nanocycle open, because we have one at 58, 9:58, and then we have one at 10:13. So for true nanocycle opens, what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to see the direction that we're changing, because this is like true nanocycle opens right there. Perfect. Tap into it, and we're shorting off. And then true nanocycle opens here. We actually swept the high of the true nanocycle on ES, sorry. This high of the true nanocycle, and I'm just looking for how we're continuing lower. From this true nanocycle open, you see I exited here out the CISD off the 15-second, and that was our Trump candle. Literally hit our 12 a.m. open, CE of the 4 hour, which was like my final take profit if it was going to go down there, CE of it, which was the target, and then we literally ticked my exit, and then reversed probably like close to 40, 50 points, and then I ended up exiting there, which is kind of sad for holding it through all that, but still got something. Can't be upset. True nanocycle open. Usually I do use the 10 a.m. to like do that kind of movement for price. Like, is it gonna support or hold or not? So 90-minute candle is looking like we're just gonna continue higher. There's no gaps lower. Tapped into this, supporting above it. Even this 90-minute candle could rocket up. I don't think it's going to do it that fast, especially on today. I think that's more of the next 3 days of the week kind of distribution move. But that's how I took this trade. 30-minute PO3, what I saw and how you would read this really is we have a 15-minute gap there. This is our first presented. Yeah, that was our first presented gap. And if we have our 15-minute gap here, 15-minute CISD was basically where True New York was. So this is very important. This is a key level. We were wanting to see it trade back from there. Of course, we want to get in much, much higher than those kind of entries, but we want to see this 15-minute CISD. This was a market structure shift. So we had a market structure shift, but then our CISD really was right here. CISD closing lower. This close, immediately I was bearish for the 945. That's why the only reason why I traded 30-minute PO3, because our cycles weren't aligned for distribution. What I'm seeing is an expansion, accumulation, manipulation of the 4 hour, distribution higher, and then the 90-minute I saw XA manipulation lower, distribution higher. But like the cycles today, we had a 3 stage SSMT, but the cycles themselves, the AMDX, XAMD cycles, are a bit harder to read. So what I was taking this off of was the DCs are up here. They're all up here on the buy side of the curve, which means we're going to sell to OTE, discount of the range, so orders can be met, right? So then, therefore, I don't really care if this is AMDX or XAMD. I know where the crack correlations are. Therefore, I'm trading at those highs. That's where the liquidity is. So I'm trading opposing to that because those are the lowest stop entries before reversal. That is the reversal point. So that was really the trade idea. We didn't use much AXAMD, AMDX cycles. I mainly used it for the microcycle because that's what was really giving us the narrative. The 90-minute cycle after open really was helpful. And using 945 price, you can see the 5-minute candles. I mean, this looks bullish until we had the Kraken correlations, because we were supporting order block structure, not really giving us a lot of gaps on many time frames on the 30-minute PO3. I mean, we had our first presented, we supported higher, and then you had to hold this, and anything higher than there, you would have got break even or lost if you held. So we didn't even hit the daily cycle. Like, we came up to it, IFEG, that's the entry. We're not hitting the daily, we just hit the 90-minute. In daily intact, we're for sure dumping. And you see the True New York price is like, that's our 15-minute CISD. And because I just didn't mark it out, because that is exactly True New York's price, the 15-minute CISD. And see, 15-minute CISD. And we also mentioned that this was our, all things align. Just when the price is right, things just align. You'll notice that. So CE of our 30-minute PO3 is there. 15-minute bearish gap. But basically, True New York, 15-minute CISD. Once we break that 15-minute CISD and it's the right time, we just kind of drop from there. So 15-minute CISD is very important. Very, very important. When it can be paired at the right time, then we just distribute after that. Like after we're done consolidating, 15-minute CISD, the next three 15-minute candles are literally just down. And they usually create a gap that we trade into and then come down from. Probably like what we did right here. But we went down before going up. But that would be the opposite if it was like not a news impacted range and we still like had lower to go. But that's all I'm saying. So from here, I think we're going up long. I'm gonna look at the 1 hour for the weekly charting analysis. This is my premium high. High of the week is right here. So you can see the market maker model just like forming out of that. And we can go out to the 4 hour. We can see low of the month still OTE of this larger range that we have in SMT for right here. We don't need to take out. So like we're chilling daily. Daily wants to move higher. It's going to kind of chop around where we are now because we're at our weekly. And we swept out all of our previous week lows, even on, oh, not on YM yet, which is the low that I was looking for. So if you can see on YM, this low right here didn't get swept out. So we have the SMT there between ES and Q. But we traded really deep into the range on, oh, we had to change this to ES. We traded really deep into the range on that weekly gap. And for that reason, I'm looking for us to move higher from there. But, you know, there's still room to maneuver inside that. So that's why I'm kind of just waiting to see what happens. We have so much room in ES to maneuver. NQ, I mean, this is a breaker. So, I mean, we don't have to trade above it if we're extremely bearish. And I like how that CE is there at the low that we swept. But I still can see this coming a bit lower. Just like wicking down and then the weekly closing more bullish above CE of this gap is what I'm thinking. I mean, the wick low is at CE. So if we close this week, that'll tell us everything we need to know for next week. Likely bullish is what I'm saying. Premium buy side. I think it'll be on the table, honestly, this week if we like really start moving. It's only 500 points away. That's like 2 days of movement. So that is all for today. I'm trying to get better entries. I'm really trying to lower my stops for that. I mean, getting better entries when you learn QT is just a matter of seeing where we're going to reverse more often, so you just get more comfortable and more confident with entering. Because 15 second, yeah, I'm comfortable entering on that. For sure, I'm comfortable entering on that. Then ICT, bro, goes to the 5 second. After we sweep that 5 second market structure shift, tap into, what is it, maybe a 15 second gap? No 15 second gap. Like just moving through the time frames alone like lags my computer. So I haven't been going down to the 5 second. I think that would help me get lower entry just because I need like at least a little bit of confidence in market structure on the lower time frame that we're going lower. Like there's your low stop. That's your low stop entry, or like something like that. Although even this range is still kind of not too protected, but just comes with time. 5 second chart is so difficult for me personally at the moment, just because you need to be looking at it at the right time, or else it's just noise. It's annoying. True nanocycle opens were like that when I first started using them. Then I started using just the opening times and then using it for like the related structure after that, because it's helpful. Like you can't tell me 10:13 as a time is such a helpful time. We often reverse there. That's our new X quarter for the microcycle. That's like what 20 minutes before we turn into our 90-minute new cycle, which is usually expansion, which is our 10 a.m. reversal. So true nanocycle opens useful, especially it wasn't 58. They're about like 23 minutes apart, so 9:50, 45, and then 10, that'd be 13 minutes. 10, 13, 30, and then the one after that 10:35, 45. And the first one starts at 9:05, something like that. It's like early 9 o'clock. Like I said, reversing into the range again. We just play based off of ranges. That's really all trading is. Time-based ranges, where are the gaps, where are the ranges. And recently I've been straying away from gaps and using more OTE levels of, like I said, sweeped ranges. If I want to look at YM, just really quick to mention to you guys, the 6 hour. right here. 6-hour high, got swept. It did not on ESN and Q. So what I would do with that is an OTE range of that previous 6-hour candle. Put in the OTE, and those are your same targets. So right there, put at the high. 0.75 still aligns with those lows. I exited like a little above 0.75, and that low is just discount sell side. That would have been the lowest of your OTE. Still, why you pair all of them, because you use time and mostly price to find exits. I use time-based exits just when price is uncertain and I want to hold for longer. But usually, price-based exits are what you're looking for, not so much OTEs, because just there's better entries or exits on the time frames going descending from the 4 hour in the gaps, especially like just using gaps and OTE and like levels and discount. I am able to find incredible lows. Like this is, of course, you didn't get in on this wick, but the rest of these, that's the low of day as of now. And we're exiting around that. Like we know where it is, and we just need to find an entry. That's really all we're trading. Entries at reversals. You gotta be patient, because if you get stopped out instantly, then that's what happens. You're trading reversal, you're trading high RR, and you're trying to get a higher win rate. It's tough. Definitely tough. But I think that we get a better understanding like every trading day. You figure out the scenarios that play out. I know that 10 a.m. manipulation sometimes happens early and then 10 a.m. just dumps. So I knew that this was a likely scenario. And it's just about compounding days, and then you get more confident over time. So I'm going to leave you with that, guys. I'm so happy to be making these videos again. I really don't have a lot of time in the day. I got to work out. I got to make this. I got to do my journal. I have a trading journal on paper, and I have one on Notion. And I have to cook. I have to get ready. To do everything in the world, basically. Uh, so I will see you guys in the next video. This makes me happy to talk about price action again. And like I want to clean up these executions. I don't want that first nasty trade. I want these clean executions to show you like art. Like bro, I'll show you. This is so funny. But if, I don't know if you can see that. Okay. But my profile picture is ICT as Bob Ross. It's so funny. As someone posted on Twitter, and I've just been using it because I want to chart and I want my executions to be like art. It should be. You're trading one trade a day and you catch the daily range. That is an art. So I'll leave you with that, guys. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.